what a sweet day it is. Back on Chasing Labels, spine number 12. I'm Stephen Billings, and with me as always is Andrew Cabral. What's up, man?
What's up? I'm doing good. We're back here, number 12, where we hit that dozen mark. Not quite the baker's dozen,
you can put us in a box and sell us,
like donuts,
yeah,
or pastry, whatever you want. Yeah, man, it's great to be here. We are in the thick of it when it comes to the Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble, which we'll touch upon a little bit later on in the episode. But of course, these announcements never stop coming, and we're doing this weekly now, so it's becoming a thing.
Yeah, it's becoming a thing. Especially this time of it seems like, I guess, summer season's just the busiest time of the year for these releases. We got some big ones in this episode, but we're gonna start off with one that we were a little bit behind on from last week, since we were kind of overwhelmed last week. So we'll bring back the Vinegar Syndrome releases, and with that, we have, I think, 3 new releases from Vinegar Syndrome, and then the rest of these are from their partner labels.
Yes.
So first we have The Lamp, a.k.a. The Outing. We have Through the Fire, and then we have Killer Delight, Deadlock, which is going to be a 4K and a Blu-ray.
Yes, and this is the first partner release, and this is from Subculture USA.
Okay. And then we have Golden Arm, which is from Fun City Editions.
Yes.
Or am I right? Wrong. Or is it? No, you know what? I think that's Utopia.
Yes, so it looks like Deadlock is from Utopia.
Okay.
And Killer Delight is... No, we were right. We were right.
Yeah, because I know Rancho Deluxe is a Fun City Editions.
Yeah, Killer Delight is Vinegar Syndrome, and then Subculture, which we just talked about, Subculture USA, is Deadlock the 4K, and then the partner label Utopia will be putting out Golden Arm.
Yeah.
And then the Fun City Edition will be Rancho Deluxe, I believe.
Yes. And then you have Altered Innocence is putting out Sound and Fury, and Gunpowder in Sky, which is a cool label name, is putting out a 4K of a film called Awake. A lot of these, with Vinegar Syndrome, there's a lot of stuff that is just hard to find and hard to see. And I'll be honest, not familiar with most of this. I have seen Rancho Deluxe.
So have I.
Yes.
I've seen Rancho Deluxe, and the Fun City editions, I think, of all the partner labels with Vinegar Syndrome seem to be the most popular.
Yeah, it seems to be catching on the most, yeah.
They're the ones that are selling out the fastest when it comes to specifically the first run editions with the oh-so-fabulous slipcovers.
Yeah.
Those really cool slipcovers. I love the artwork on these Fun City editions.
Yeah.
They're really great. I think they are all original artwork, and the Rancho Deluxe one looks pretty damn cool. And I know Golden Arm is actually a newish film. This film may be from last year. So that's interesting. And of course, all of these do come first run with slipcovers. Yeah. And you can see pictures of them on vinegarsyndrome.com. And they're all up for pre-order right now.
Yeah, we both seen Rancho Deluxe, so that's got what's his my mind's blanking.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges,
1975, I believe.
Yeah,
the movie came out.
Yeah, early Jeff Bridges.
Very early.
And it's like a film about these he plays kind of, once again, he does a great job of playing kind of these almost, you could say, worthless guys, the guys that are just scheming the system, in a way, and he plays this guy that's kind of stealing from this cattle rancher. He's shooting his cattle and
Yeah, they're stealing cattle from this guy's
stealing
ranch.
meat, stealing anything they can.
And the dude they're stealing from is kind of a piece of crap.
Well, it definitely is.
Yeah, and it's a comedy first and foremost, and it's kind of a buddy movie, but it's also kind of a hangout movie because there's a lot of this movie where the guys are just doing random shit.
It kind of feels like it is definitely a comedy, but it's it almost kind of got some of that Dazed and Confused hangoutness to it.
Yeah.
There's like literally a scene where he's like having sex with this girl, like on the farm, and she's like kind of like obscenely like overly screaming and yelling and like. He's just like seeing Jeff Bridges' face. He's just like, Jesus Christ, like this girl is a little too enthusiastic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a lot of scenes like that are just like really odd, and like there's a main plot of the movie, but the movie segues into so many different areas that like when you get back to the main plot, you're like, oh, this main plot's kind of like straightforward.
Yeah, because
basically like
there's like Harry Dean Winston.
Yeah, Harry Dean Stanton is in it.
Or Stanton, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Sam Waterston is also in it.
He's great. He plays the rancher, right?
Sam Waterston. He plays his friend who.
Oh yeah, sorry, wrong person.
He's a part Native American or part indigenous. I mean, and of course, Sam Waterston's not. I don't think indigenous at all. But it's just one of those casting choices.
Yeah.
But I've never seen Sam like these actors who I'm always assume they're just older actors.
Yeah.
But no, back in the 70s, they were in their 30s, Yeah. But it's a fun movie. Out of all these releases, that's the one I would probably get the most if in the future.
Yeah.
If I was buying.
I know that movie Awake is something that was like executive produced by Terrence Malick.
Oh.
It's narrated by Liv Tyler. I think it's a documentary.
Oh yes. The movie Awaken. I did hear it. It's a trippy documentary.
Yeah, shot over a 5-year period in more than 35 countries. Awake is a poetic exploration of existence, technology, time, and memories. It sounds straight up Malick, especially
That's so Malick.
Yeah, so of course he would produce this.
And this is going to be in 4K, so the
oh, it's going to be beautiful.
The visuals are going to be gorgeous. This did come out in 2018, so it is a modern film. So do you want to move on from Vinegar Syndrome to
Umbrella?
Umbrella, yes. Umbrella is a company we haven't really talked about. Umbrella Entertainment from Australia. There seem to be two Australian companies we like to talk about. Via Vision or /Imprint, however you want to say it, and Umbrella Entertainment is another one. And they're both kind of putting out films that have already been released elsewhere. But what is interesting about Umbrella is I'm noticing a lot of their releases are region B locked, which is very interesting, because I always assumed that Australia was more like region free.
The thing is there. I think there is some confusion because, like with that latest set from Imprint that came out, what's the big set that just came out? The
Yang Shimo set?
Yeah. That set. There was some confusion about that because I had somebody message me about that, and it says like on Blu-ray.com that it is Region B. But then when I messaged Imprint about it, they say it will play on U.S. players. So I think that there might be a little confusion about maybe even these releases, that they're not locked, but it's saying they are. But I don't. From what we know, Australian releases are usually, U.S. friendly.
Region free. Yeah, they usually are. At least all the ones that we've imported so far. At least the stuff from Imprint's been playing on your player.
They've been playing on my player fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there is a difference in some releases from Australia. I don't know, but I guess it's just depending on what rights they can get. So maybe these Region B locked are just, they're able to release them, but they can't release them as Region A's like they want to. But that's just something you'll have to do a little bit more research to make sure before you buy them. But as we said, a lot of these have been released in other places already. So even if you can't get these, you might be able to get this movie somewhere else.
Right.
For instance, we'll go through the list here.
Let's go through the list.
We got a film called Malcolm. From 1986, we have Nightmares. We have Alphaville, which is a pretty popular one from Jean-Luc Godard.
Mm-hmm.
Just a Gigolo, which has got David Bowie in it, so that's something to look into.
Appropriate.
Yes. You saying David Bowie's a gigolo? Jeez.
Oh, he was a very sexual individual.
He was. Relic, which is a recent release from 2019. The Sniper, which is one I actually talked about not too long ago, which was put in the film noir. I think it's the maybe the third volume of
I think
Film
it's
Noir.
in the third volume.
Yeah, of the
from
Indicator Noir. And then we have the Wild One, which is another release that came through Indicator with Marlon Brando. And then we have like a double feature release, retro sci-fi double feature, Tarantula, and then the other release is The Incredible Shrinking Man. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff here. So, any of these familiar to you, or?
It's very interesting how the Wild One is getting yet again another release.
Yeah.
I already own this film twice.
Yeah.
And I don't think I need it again. I don't think anything on here is different than the release from Indicator. I have to look.
Yeah.
It's actually it's staring me right in the face over there. But so that's the one that I have, and that one I don't know if it's sold out yet. I know the limited edition I believe is sold out. I don't know if the regular edition is sold out or not of the Wild One, but yeah, Alphaville has a release here in the States through Kino on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So that's yet again another re-release, and it looks like it's probably holdover special features from that, and it's not really much. We're talking about there's an interview with the late Anna Karina, and that is it.
Yeah,
it's pretty lackluster there.
It's kind of interesting they decide to release some of these because you're not. I mean, I don't know that I don't know much about Umbrella Entertainment, but I don't know that they really number their stuff. I'm not sure. But if they do, is this just a move to get catalog titles, or is this just like
license? I guess. I don't know if there's a license war out there going on, and people just trying to scoop up what they can scoop up where they are, and I mean,
because like you said, some of these are redundant. I mean, like the Sniper is in a very popular set that Indicators put out. You know,
I think it is one of those things where I guess if you can't import it from the UK to Australia, you can just get that release there.
Yeah.
I mean, we are kind of a little snobbish when it comes to being able to import stuff because the United States geographically is kind of in the middle between the UK and Australia and, Europe and all that kind of stuff. So Australia's kind of out there when it comes to European releases.
Yeah.
When it comes to shipping. As it is, I think shipping from here to Australia is rather expensive. And we all know that shipping from Australia to here is also expensive. And then Europe to here is expensive too. So it's all about those shipping prices,
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever the strategies are. I hope it works out for them.
It really does. I mean, as long as people are able to get to the movies that they want, I guess I'm all for it. But out of all of these released, the one that seems to have gotten the most effort put in when it comes to their release is Malcolm, the first one you talked about. We're talking new 4K restoration, couple of new special features, all kind of stuff, and that looks like
Nightmares has gotten a little bit too. It got a new restoration in 4K too, and some new feature in there. So I mean, I don't know about that film though.
What's crazy is the new feature is not quite Hollywood, which is that documentary. It's probably clips talking about that movie from that documentary about Australian cinema.
Okay.
That you can buy by itself, and also clips from that was also used in the release for Road Games from Indicator.
Oh, okay.
I believe as well.
Okay, cool.
Probably should actually look that stuff up, but
obviously Australian films want to make sure that they put that documentary in every Australian.
I have Road Games in my hand right now. It says not quite Hollywood interview excerpts from the 2008 documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're probably. And I think those excerpts are specifically about Road Games or Australian cinema. Cool. Yeah. So moving right along.
Get us over to Kino.
Let's get us back to our old friends in Kino. We talked a little bit about them in the previous episode, but they can't go a few days without dropping at least a couple of releases.
They don't go quietly into the night. They got more.
No. We had a bunch of titles last time. This time, not so much. But they're interesting titles for a couple of reasons for me personally. First up here is a movie called Scream Pretty Peggy from 1973. This is a TV movie starring Bette Davis.
Wow.
Of all people. Apparently it's a kind of like a psycho type of film like horror film and whatnot. I mean, there's somebody literally holding a butcher knife on the cover of the
You can
box
hear
set.
the
You can hear it. You can hear it from here. And yeah, it's the great Betty Davis, who I think is one of the greatest actors of all time. It's getting a new 2K remaster. It's getting a slipcover, so they're going for it with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, TV movies from back in the day really don't get any type of appreciation or love. And by back in the day, I mean
I
like
would
the
say
70s.
the only one that comes off the top of my head that has gotten tons of love is Duel.
Yeah.
Because it's Steven Spielberg.
Because of Steven Spielberg. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of like, hey, what was a good TV thing back in the 70s? I was thinking Roots.
Yeah.
Roots has gotten a few releases on DVD and Blu-ray, I think. And I think they did a remake of Roots a couple of times.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure,
or a sequel. But next we've got another TV movie this time from 1972 called The Screaming Woman. And this stars one of my all-time favorites in Olivia de Havilland. Joseph Cotton is in the movie, Walter Pidgeon. So they got all of these old Hollywood actors and actresses to be kind of, I don't want to say relegated, but by this point in their careers, they getting work where they could. And I guess TV movies were a way to be. But I actually have seen that, and yeah, it needed some type of remaster because you can watch this on YouTube right now, and it is in VHS like quality that I'm pretty sure somebody just recorded.
Probably not many ways to see that movie, so yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't see I couldn't find Scream Pretty Peggy anywhere to stream or anything like that. So those needed ones. And Olivia de Havilland, who just recently passed away, was really probably old Hollywood movie cinema royalty, and she was kind of the last of that era. Yeah. Really one of the last of that era. I know Norman Lloyd just recently passed away. He was from that era as well, but not as prominent as an Olivia de Havilland and whatnot. So yeah, I also have a quest to kind of own all of Olivia de Havilland's films, so I'll probably eventually be getting this, even though I've seen the movie and it's okay. It's not great. But moving on to a movie called Trick or Treats. And this came out in 1982. I was almost going to say it came out in the 80s, but in the 70s, but it didn't. This is a Code Red Kino Lorber team up, and this film stars David Carradine, and
I love David Carradine.
Yeah, that's enough to get me to be interested in it.
Yeah, I mean,
enough.
Did you ever watch Kung Fu?
No.
You never watched Kung Fu from back in the day?
No, I don't. The Kane and Kung Fu, the reference in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
No, I haven't, but I saw those DVDs. So many times at stores.
Yeah.
Over the last decade or so.
If you know the show Warrior that is like popular right now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's basically the story that apparently Bruce Lee was gonna pitch. That's similar to that movie that some people theorize that they stole that story for Kung Fu from Bruce Lee, and then made Kung Fu, but it's not. I don't think it's true. I think Quentin Tarantino talked about that on one of the. That's where I'm hearing that from.
Probably. He's been talking a lot about Bruce Lee lately.
Yeah.
For various reasons.
Yeah, but it's
pretty much. Yeah, it was. I know the premise of Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Where this traveling martial artist and whatnot, it's kind of like a hero's journey, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's where David Carradine's pretty well known from, but of course he's from the Carradine acting family.
Yeah, tons of them.
His brother, I think his father was an actor.
Yeah.
One of those kind of legacy families. Unfortunately, he did pass away many years ago. And he, of course, was in Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I think a lot of more modern people know him from. But yeah, so more David Carradine work. This is also getting a slipcover. Apparently, already had a remaster from 2015. So, yeah, let's just go in that route. And then we have another film here, and this just got announced a few, hours ago. So, Kino, right up to the button. They're always announcing
They know we're
stuff.
about to do episodes.
They take no weekends off, and this is a film starring John Wayne and Janet Leigh, and it is called The Jet Pilot, produced by Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
And all we have is the poster. It's not even cover art. All we have is the poster for the movie. That is it. That is it. This must have been... Yeah, this was 1957, so this was like a later Howard Hughes production. Because I know at one point he had taken over RKO and
Yeah.
was doing stuff there.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was during that.
It's
time
directed
period.
by Joseph von Sternberg, so
Yes,
So
that's another thing where it's one of those things I think people know at home that I have certain collection inclinations that if I start with someone collecting someone's work, I got to get everything. I got Joseph von Sternberg stuff. I got to get this.
yeah,
Got to get
it's got to
it.
happen. Well,
So I don't even know when this is coming
yeah,
out. It
it's
says
just
coming
an
soon.
announcement that it's coming soon, apparently.
Yeah, the other releases that we just talked about were all October, I think. So perhaps in that time frame.
Yeah.
So that is it for Kino Lorber. And we will move on to our other friends. Where do you want to move now, Steven?
Well, let's talk about Studio Canal.
Yes, Studio Canal does have a release coming out. And Steven, what is that release?
Well, it's for a little British film called The Servant, and
Yes.
it's getting a 4K release, which is cool. We do not have details on features yet, but this is a 1963 film that stars Dirk Burgod, Sarah Miles, James Fox, Wendy Craig, and Kathleen Lacey. And this is an awesome movie. I think it previously had a Blu-ray release from Studio Canal, so they're upgrading it here. And from what we can see, it's going to have a nice rigid box with some postcards in it, and maybe a nice booklet in there. It looks like it's going to be a 3-discer.
Yes, it does.
But this is a great film. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it, which is unfortunate because now I kind of really want to see it. But should I wait for this release?
I would
It's
say
coming September 20th,
Yeah.
and we all know that 4K is region free all over the world, so you can get this being over here in the States, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
It looks like a great set, and I know you own some Studio Canal stuff, so you can definitely vouch for the quality of their
Oh
releases.
yeah.
I know. Didn't recently they put out the Elephant Man
Yes.
pre
Yes.
Criterion Collection as well.
Yeah, their 4K is great. Yes.
And I want to say that Joseph Losey is one of those directors who has had stuff released here as well. Most prominently, actually, I have to check.
Well, he's got we talked about it before the show. He's got a couple indicator releases.
Yes, yes, he does.
And
But he also has not even indicator stuff. There's stuff here. I know the movie Boom, starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, which put out by Shout Factory. That's a Shout Select release. He also has this movie called X the Unknown, which is also put out by Shout Factory, but I don't think that that's a Shout Select release.
Okay.
That may just be Shout by itself. Well, what do I really know? But perhaps. So we've gotten a few things here, but I know Joseph Losey because I've heard his name so many times.
Yeah.
I think because he's part of that. I think he was part of the British New Wave.
Okay.
In the 50s and into the early 60s. He was part of that era of filmmakers.
Well, he's one I'm not.
Tony Richardson, John Schlesinger. I'm going to touch a little bit on that later because I got a film that fits right into that. That's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Steve, I think that's what they call it.
That's great. That's what they call it. Yeah.
I think that's what they call it.
But
yes.
I'm not too familiar with this director. This was actually the first of his films I've seen. But I do. This is the sad thing about when you buy a lot of movies. I own 2 of his movies and I haven't even watched them yet. Time Without Pity and Eva, which are both indicator releases. So I have his movies.
Yes.
I just need to watch them. But I can tell you right now that The Servant's a worthwhile buy. It's about this man, this kind of rich, well-off man who hires a manservant, and it kind of devolves into this kind of fight for power in the house, where the servant starts to become the leader of there's a lot of undertones here of homosexuality. There's some of course class issues and things like that. It's a very interesting film, very well directed, very well acted. It's a great film. So yeah,
Yes,
I'll be getting it.
I was going to say, he also directed the film The Prowler, which is a film noir starring Van Heflin. This film got a Blu-ray release, I want to say around a decade ago. The problem is that it was put out by some offbeat company that I really don't even like remember, and they put it out in such a like under like a bad codec or something. Yeah, it was put out by VCI, which is a company you never hear much of. It was put out in 2015. I was way off. But it was put out in an MPEG-2 codec, which is the standard def DVD codec. And I'm like, this is 2015. I know you're a small company, but I mean, you could do a little bit better than that. Yeah, that was a small company that put out, like, some of these movies I've never heard of. Other than, like, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, like Gorgo. Like, these are some interesting movies. The Phantom Rider. But yeah, they also put out the classic Christmas Carol from 1951. So it's a little random. But anywho, I just remember that release. I remember watching it and then being, maybe I should wait to see if somebody else would release it. And I don't think anyone has.
Yeah.
So that would be a nice release put out by somebody, somewhere. But that is Joseph Losey's The Servant, coming out in 4K, which I kind of can't wait for now. Steven kind of sold me on the movie.
Oh, come on. Yes, I got him. Hopefully I sold everybody else on it.
You got him.
But that's the only Studio Canal release we got, and so we'll move on to 88 Films.
Yes, 88 Films, another company we don't talk much about, but I know Steven's been keeping them in business. He's been buying all of those Jackie Chan releases.
Just in their Jackie Chan, yeah.
Yes.
But they have also put out a lot of different genre stuff, and they also have a Shaw Brothers connection, which will, of course, foreshadowing, as you said.
Foreshadowing. That's the theme of the episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of foreshadowing. But they got 3 releases we're going to talk about here that just got announced. We have Snapshot, which is a 1979 kind of thriller. Maybe you could say maybe a little bit of horror, but I'd say it's a thriller. You have, sorry, scrolling
That's
up
okay.
here. You got The Chinese Boxer, which is a Shaw Brothers production. And you have the, what's
Say
that?
The Gestapo's Last Orgy.
Oh,
that's a title.
Well, that sounds a little bit taboo there. I don't know about that one.
Yes, that is what I was getting at. Thank you for picking up on it.
Yeah, I know,
and of
right?
course,
yeah.
And apparently the Gestapo's Last Orgy is a U.S. only release.
Of course, only the United States wants to see that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah. So apparently that's shockingly. Just reading up on that film, I don't know if you want to jump into that one right away.
Go ahead, let's
go with it. Might as well go with the most one first.
Yeah.
Refused certification and outright banned in the UK still to today. Maybe that's why that it is only available here in the States.
You know it's going to get the most people that are going to buy this are going to be from the UK now.
Yeah, they're gonna import it over there. Yeah. It's like that'll be. They're gonna have people checking it in at customs, basically. But yeah, apparently it's also the first time this is going to be released in the United States. Yeah, it's going to be uncut, featuring a brand new 2K scan and restoration exclusively by 88 Films. So they own.
The thing is, that's a UK company, so they're already breaking rules as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, by I guess just having the movie, maybe that's even breaking the law.
I don't know.
The UK has had such a history of banning certain films, the video nasties and all that history and all that kind of stuff. I guess even to this day, they've got a whole thing with banning movies.
Yeah.
Which is kind of absurd. It's 2021. Come on now. The world almost ended. We got to see the Gestapo's Last Orgy.
Yeah, you got to get that out of the way.
Get that out of the way.
We got the features here.
Yeah, we do have the features.
We got Go ahead.
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay. 2.0 English DTS HD MA mono. You got the good audio there. It looks like. A 2.0 Italian DTS HD mono with English subtitles. We got audio commentary with Italian film expert Troy Haworth and Nathaniel Thompson. We have an audio commentary with critic and author Sam Dehane. We have an alternate Italian ending. We have Remembering Alberto Baldin Bembo, and an interview with Pier Pello de
Come on.
it hurts. Sanctis. One Thing on His Mind, an interview with Lucio Cosi, English trailer, and so that's all the features for that. And then we have the Chinese Boxer. I think that's I would say that's the big release here.
Yeah,
because it is a Shaw Brothers movie, and 88 Films has put out a lot of Shaw Brothers stuff. And this is going to have a US and a UK release. Or it's a UK. I think it's a UK release, but it'll have its pre-orders in the US. But it's got a 2.0 English LPCM mono. It's got a Mandarin, a 2.0 LPCM mono with English subtitles. We got audio commentary with film journalist and author Sam Dahane. Open Hand Combat, interview with journalist David West, and an interview with actor. Hammer of God TV spot, and I think that's it.
That is it. So that's a little Shaw Brothers preview for what's coming up really soon.
And I'm a little afraid to want to buy that because of the set we're going to talk about at the end of the show.
Yeah, I think
that's the sad thing. Unless you're like a really big collector of 88 films, like. But we'll get to it. We'll go back to it.
What I've been seeing for the set that we're going to talk about is apparently a couple of those films are already available on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So it would probably be rebuys for a lot of Shaw Brothers enthusiasts and collectors. But it looks worth it to me.
I've loved all my 88 Films releases, so I will never tell anybody to not buy them.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what you prefer. Yeah. But the last movie that they announced was a movie called Snapshot, or it's got like a few different titles. The one title I noticed that I think it was one of the U.S. titles is One More Minute.
But that's a bad title.
Yeah, Snapshot's way better. And the other title is even worse than it's like The Last Halloween or The Last Day After Halloween or something like that. Movie has nothing to do with Halloween. But Snapshot is their 50th entry into their slasher, the slasher classic collection. 88 Films has got like certain lines within their 88 Films brand, and this movie I've seen this movie, and it's actually pretty great. I really enjoyed it. It's about this woman who's kind of like meandering through life. She ain't got much going on. And she's a hairdresser, and one of the women she does hair for invites her out to do like a photo shoot. As she thinks she's pretty, says she should do some modeling. So she goes out to this beach and ends up being like a nude modeling situation. So she's going from being very shy and very withdrawn to, getting nude for a photographer. And so, the pictures come out, and she's kind of embarrassed, but she's also kind of like thrilled by it. And then suddenly she starts to find out that all the people around her friends, her guy friends, or even some of her girlfriends are all kind of like in love with her. Like they all kind of like want a piece of her. And it kind of really, I think, brings a lot of relevant points of, things with the Me Too movement, things like that. Like, and this is for a film that came out in 79. There's like, literally a situation where this kind of person that's in the industry of photography, modeling stuff, like brings this girl over to his house. She was there to meet somebody else, but then that woman wasn't there, and so he like brings her in and like kind of like puts her in an uncomfortable situation where he's like, I want to take some nude photos of you, and it's like,
I hear stories about that even to today.
Yeah,
to people who do modeling.
Yeah.
Whether it's amateur modeling, professional modeling,
yeah.
You hear all kind of horror stories like that of men taking advantage of their position of power.
Yeah.
It's been happening seemingly forever throughout history.
Yes.
And the entertainment business, it's been happening prominently. And it's really only becoming fully realized in the last couple of years or so that, keeps happening
people
over and
are
over
finally
again.
standing up to it.
People are finally great. Aware, not only aware of it, but doing something about it.
Yeah.
People finally getting consequences for their actions and stuff like that. So yeah, this film does have an extras package. I figured I'll go through this
go
one
for it.
since you
Yeah.
did the first two. It does have an audio commentary by director Simon Windsor, producer Tony Ganane, hopefully, actress Sigrid Thornton, and cinematographer Vincent Morton. Audio commentary by The Hysteria Continues. I'm assuming that's like a podcast or something like
Yeah.
that. Alternate extended Australian cut, which is only going to be in standard definition. Producing Snapshot. Interview with Tony Ganane. Oh, hopefully that's right. Not Quite Hollywood. Extended interviews with actress Sigrid Thornton, producer Tony Ganane, director Simon Windsor, cinematographer Vincent Morton, writer Everett DeRoche, assistant director Tom Burstall, and actress Linda Stoner. That seems quite extensive.
Yeah.
That's yet again another part of that Not Quite Hollywood documentary.
Yeah.
I really want to watch it now because it seems very involved. And also there's TV spots and then a gallery, and that's it. The cover art looks pretty good. Looks definitely selling the movie on the horror aspect of it. And does say that is it a slasher? Because it is part of the Slasher Classics collection, as you said.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't get a slasher element.
Slasher vibe?
It's not really. It's more like there's like a stalkerishness to it.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily a slasher element.
Yet again, it's another movie where there's someone or a shadow or something holding a knife.
Yeah.
Knives seem to be a really big thing in slasher movies.
Yeah, just because there's a guy with holding a knife in the movie doesn't mean that it's a slasher movie. So I don't know that
Someone's getting slashed.
Well,
I guess.
I don't remember ever seeing anybody getting slashed in this movie, but it's a good movie nonetheless. So I would, nonetheless, great film. I enjoyed it. I think it's worth a pickup. So that's it for our 88 films.
That is it. They do have a couple of more things, but they're mostly just extras list of stuff they've already announced, or cover art of stuff they've already announced. So that's all up on their social medias. You can check that out. But now we come to the grand finale.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say so. Yeah.
There was a little anticipation for this, Steven. We got a teaser trailer drop a couple of weeks ago that we talked about, and a lot of people talked about, from Arrow Video, and their tease was a Shaw Brothers themed release, and what we got was a Shaw Brothers Volume 1 Blu-ray box set of 12 films.
Wow.
12 films, which is a lot of movies to put in a box set. Especially,
well, I mean, it's not
one
quite
like this.
Bergman, but I mean, it's definitely a lot.
No. But what truly is,
there's not many sets that has like 35 or 30 something like that films in it.
Those are giant. Those are once in a blue moon type sets.
Yes.
But this is a hefty set, and it just got announced this past Friday, so we're only like, not even 48 hours after it's been announced?
Yeah.
So everything's new, and we're in the honeymoon phase right now.
Yeah.
I think for the announcement. And yeah, we're getting 12 films, and they're all getting new high definition presentations. A few of them are getting brand new 2K masters, but we're going to get in all of that right now. But there is a cover art picture, or a picture of the box that it's coming in. Not quite sure what the disc art's going to look like. We're not sure how the discs are going to be inside this box or anything like that. We just got kind of the Cliff Notes version of this.
Yeah, it's very, very much just the outer artwork, and a release date, which is, I think, December 6th. So, and then we got very, very few details on the extras because it is early days. I mean, it usually a release slate will be like 3 months out, and this is 6 months. So they're still kind of working everything out and getting it set in stone.
Yeah, and from what we've gathered, Stephen and I, that same producer who we mentioned a couple of episodes ago, I think it was on the Severn episode, who we both now follow on Twitter, did say that they've been working on this set for like a year so far.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So this set's been long in the works.
Yeah.
And if this is volume 1, I'm assuming we're going to get another one perhaps next year.
They're saying coming in 2022, Shawscope volume 2 and more. So
let's get into what these 12 movies are. And for those of you at home who don't know what the Shaw Brothers is, and this doesn't sound anything that you've ever heard of before, it's an area of film that I'm not even truly well versed in myself, so there are other better experts out there. Basically, the Shaw Brothers, or Shawscope, or Celestial Palace, as they were called originally, is this Chinese distribution and acquisition and production company that existed from 1925 to 2011 in some way, shape, or form. They've produced thousands of movies, and prominently this set, and I'm assuming the upcoming set is going to concentrate on their 70s and 80s releases.
I think
like
all
that.
these are actually from the 70s.
Okay, I know all of these are. I didn't know if
yeah.
there was like a volume 2 that's going to cross over.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're gonna like kind of maybe thematically like split these volumes up into like, because they didn't just do martial arts films, they did some horror films, they did some
that's the one thing I wanted to mention, is that predominantly in the 70s they started doing their martial arts, or what people know as kung fu movies.
Yeah.
Basically, if you've ever seen a kung fu movie post like 1972, chances are it took influence from the Shaw Brothers films.
Yeah, I mean, like Tarantino takes a lot of influences.
Yeah, they really were on the forefront of those types of movies. They really kind of revolutionized that whole subgenre of the action film, using over the top, fake blood and action sequences. Basically, they were so far ahead of their time when it came to what modern day action movies would be praised for.
Yeah,
so far ahead of their time. Like Steven said, Tarantino took everything from that.
Yeah, Tarantino's basically just ripped off tons of these movies,
especially
King Boxer.
Yeah, really did.
And and then just how we praise movies like John Wick or The Raid, Redemption, about how we let the camera sit back and watch the choreography, the fighting choreography happen. That's what these movies did,
Yeah, the editing, the sound effects,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff, all that stuff you've ever seen parodied, even in movies, or parodied in movies, have come from this era.
Yeah.
So getting into all of these, so that's why this is such a monumental box set. A lot of these movies have been available before, DVD, Blu-rays, all that kind of stuff.
As we said, 88 Films has put out a lot of these on Blu-ray.
Yeah, and like we said, they were around from 1925 to 2011. They were founded by three brothers who they were the Shaw Brothers, hence the name.
Yeah.
The brothers were Run. What was it? Wasn't it Run? Yeah, Run Me, and like Runja Shaw Brothers, I think.
That sounds great. I don't think that's. I don't know if it's right or not, but
yeah, because this press release is not right at all. But anywho, let's get into these films. 12 films. We have King Boxer, The Boxer from Shantung, Five Shaolin Masters, Shaolin Temple, Mighty Peking Man, Challenge of the Masters, Executioners from Shaolin, Chinatown Kid, The Five Venoms, Crippled Avengers, Heroes of the East, and Dirty Ho.
Dirty Ho is the best of course. It's the best title of them all.
It is. What's bothering me is on all the press releases and all the stuff I've seen, there's no comma after Heroes of the East. So I when I first saw, I'm like, is it Heroes of the East and Dirty Ho? Is that one movie, or is that two movies?
Right? You're supposed to put a
you gotta
comma.
Put those commas there. You got to put them there. But those are the 12, and then there's a brand new 2K master of the longer international cut of Chinatown Kid from the original film Elements, newly translated English subtitles. No, I skipped one.
Yeah.
Original lossless mono for Mandarin, Cantonese where applicable, and English audio. So these are the movies that if you've ever heard anybody mimic like the dubbing and where people's lips are moving and the English is over and it doesn't match up or anything like that, a lot of that is from these movies as well. So you do get Mandarin, you do get Cantonese where applicable, and English audio, and there's a newly translated English subtitles for each film, hours of bonus features including brand new commentaries and critic appreciations on select films, new and archive interviews with cast and crew, alternate credit sequences, trailer and image galleries for each film, and more to be announced. And then 60-page book featuring new writing by David Desser, Simon Abrams, Terrence J. Brady, with casting crew info for each film, plus trivia and soundtrack info. New artwork for each film by artists including Matthew Griffin, Chris Malbon, Jacob Phillips, Ian Shady, Tony Stella, Darren Wheeling, and Julian Yates.
A lot of artists.
A lot of stuff.
One release, yeah.
I think the most important thing about that is more to be announced.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing to take away.
For a set this big, there's definitely a lot more to say here. And I don't know if you brought this up, but certain films did get 2K restorations from the original negatives, which include King Boxer, the boxer from Shangheng, Challenge of the Masters, and the Five Venoms, and Crypt. So almost about half of these got 2K restorations. The Five Venoms.
Yeah, I mentioned it beforehand. But
okay, I'm sorry.
The press release I was reading, didn't have them in there, so I had to.
Okay.
It's on their Facebook page, though. Yeah, you are right.
Yeah, and Crippled Avengers and Dirty Ho. So them all got 2K restorations, which is awesome. I guess let's.
That's half the box set.
Yeah, that's great. Have you seen any of these? Can you?
Yes, I have, Steven.
You know.
Yes, I have. I've seen King Boxer. I've seen the boxer from Shantung, and I've seen the Five Venoms, and they're all good. I really dug them. I think that these movies are all good for what they are. There's not really, these movies are entertainment based primarily. They're not like, you're not watching like a Kurosawa film. You're not watching an Ozu film. You're not even watching like King Hu or some other Chinese director or something like that.
This isn't like Samurai.
This isn't Ang
This
Lee
isn't
or anything.
Harakiri or.
Yeah, I mean, those are Japanese films. I don't really want to cross the cultures.
Sure. There is a difference, definitely.
I'm just saying, there's a massive difference when it comes to Chinese cinema and Japanese cinema. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the vastly different cultures, specifically in the 20th century, just dealing with all kinds of stuff.
You bring that up, and the film Crippled Avengers, or I'm sorry, not Crippled Avengers, but what's the one out of these that I watched that it's the Heroes of the East. Heroes of the East is straight up about Chinese culture and Japanese culture and the differences, because that movie is about this Chinese man who marries a Japanese woman, and she's her and herself is kind of like a somewhat expert in her martial arts from Japan, and she tries to show off and tries to tell her new husband that their culture and their martial arts is better than Chinese martial arts, and in that it kind of puts a wedge between them, and she kind of goes back to Japan and starts kind of, I guess, talking shit to the people she knows there, and then she accidentally sets off like a chain of events to where a group of men come back to basically challenge the guy to fights, and they all have like expertise in different martial art, like whether it be like certain weapons or certain fighting styles, and he has to take on all of them. There's like 7 of them. It's really awesome. I really love the movie.
There was some of that in King Boxer. The climactic fight in King Boxer is between our main protagonist, who is Chinese, and he's using like, kung fu martial arts and stuff like that, and someone from Japan who's using a different set of martial arts, and he's using like a samurai sword and stuff like that, and you see the difference in the way they're fighting. Just the complete different philosophical differences. And what's really cool is I don't think specifically Chinese cinema gets a lot of spotlight when it comes to, I think, more like cinephiles talking about, like we just did it. I just brought up Japanese cinema in Kurosawa and Ozu, and those people who I think have gotten lots and lots of praise and discussions and stuff like that. And Chinese cinema has kind of taken a little bit of a background, a little bit, when it comes to a lot of these labels that we talk about. Specifically, I mean, we're going to talk about Criterion in a little bit, and prominently in my mind, where my love of Japanese cinema has come from, has been from the Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love him to put out more Chinese films, and they are. I just bought one, Flowers of Shanghai.
Yeah, Dragon Inn?
Yeah, there's Dragon Inn. That's
isn't Lady Snowblood?
No, that's
are they Japanese?
I think it's Japanese.
Okay.
I just bought Dragon Inn, but that director who I just mentioned, whose name, for, I lose it, he also directed A Touch of Zen.
Yeah, it touches in.
It's King Hu. King Hu, who also worked within the Shaw Brothers and made Shaw Brothers films as well
Yeah.
in the 60s, I believe, early
al-
on in his career.
And also, is an Edward Yang Chinese filmmaker.
Yeah, Yi Yi.
Yeah, Yi, Brighter Summer Day.
Yes.
Which
I still haven't seen or bought because I'm an idiot.
Well, it's a long movie.
Yeah, it's a long. I mean, Yi Yi wasn't exactly short.
It's
either.
not short.
Yi Yi
Yeah,
is
they're long movies. Great movies though. But yeah, there's a lot of Chinese cinema that is still just needing to be put out.
Yeah,
including the big set from Imprint. That's once again another.
Oh yes, yeah, Zhang Yimou, that big set that's coming out.
Gong Li, yeah. That's another big Chinese cinema release. So we're getting a lot of Chinese releases, which is great.
I can't wait to get this. Also, I guess for people listening now or soon, this is available to pre-order from several sites now, and it is not as expensive as I thought it would be.
Yeah, when it was teased,
we don't talk about we don't talk about pricing a lot on here because prices fluctuate and change all the time. So it's not gonna. If someone's listening to this in a year, it's probably not gonna be the same price.
Yeah,
So, but it's surprisingly not as expensive as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it was getting teased to be.
Too.
People were teasing it like it was going to be like out of range, like over $200 kind of like set, and I was like, oh, $129.99. That's not bad.
Depending on where you get it from.
Depending on where you get it, I usually shop Diabolic, if not direct.
Yeah, Diabolic has it now. Zavi US has it. Zavi UK has it. You can get it direct from Arrow. You can get it from HMV. If you're in Canada, you can get it from Unobstructed View.
Yeah.
Amazon US, I don't think is gonna probably get it. Do they usually? No, because this is we do have to stress this is a UK release.
It is a UK, but it has US releases too.
Does it?
Yeah.
I thought this was exclusive.
If you go to like the Diabolic DVD site, it does say this is the US limited.
Oh, okay.
I think they're releasing it in.
I just thought because of licensing and stuff, someone else had them here.
I would think so too, but based off of what I'm seeing, it's looking like it's going to have a Region A and a Region B
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me check. Yeah, Yeah, I guess you're right. Because I'm just looking on Blu-ray.com. It says Region A, but it's so early on. I have no idea.
Where you order it from them for the US release, it doesn't have that rating stuff on the artwork. So there is two different.
Oh, it does say Arrow US Limited Edition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Usually the rating things usually indicate whether
it's going to be
a UK or US release. That's usually the only difference.
Yeah. So there'll be availability, to UK and US and. But so you said you've seen King Boxer and you saw.
Yes, the Boxer from Shantung.
How's that?
Boxer from Shantung is good. It's really good. The main issue I have with the film is that it is 2 hours and 5 minutes long, and typically, from what I've seen from these movies, is they're not typically that long.
Yeah.
They're like I said, more entertainment based, so faster paced movies essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
And if Boxer from Shantung was like 15 or 20 minutes shorter, it'd be kind of damn near perfect because it's a serious movie, perhaps too serious, but I kind of liked it. But the last climax of this movie is so amazing.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. It's just a massive action sequence with just multiple things happening. It's bloody, it's brutal, it's really great. Really great. I enjoyed it a lot. Also, the Five Venoms is also really, really good as well. Five Venoms has been on Netflix for a long time. Sadly, it's actually going to be taken off on July 20th or 22nd of this month coincidentally, or coincidentally, as this is just
If you want to watch it,
you
check
want to
it
watch
out.
it, you got about 10 days or so.
A
10
lot
to
of
12
these
days.
are actually, a lot of these movies are actually on available to rent somewhere. Like a lot of these were on
Yes.
Amazon.
They are, but forewarning, when you rent them on Amazon, they're gonna be the English dub.
Yeah.
Because I had to rent the King Boxer and I had to rent Boxer from Shantung, and they were both the English dub version. Whereas the Five Venoms on Netflix was the Chinese language version only. They didn't even have an English dub option, which is the way I kind of prefer it.
Yeah,
but
it's preferred.
I wanted to watch these movies so we could talk about them today, so I did what I could at the time. Don't.
It's okay.
Don't
We won't.
attack me,
We won't
purists.
judge you. We won't judge
Yeah,
you.
don't attack me, purists.
It's fun
I
to
let
watch.
you down.
It's fun.
Let
It's
you
fun
down.
to watch the English dub sometimes too, though.
It changes the context of the movie, though. Like
It
makes
does.
you feel. It's weird. It's very weird.
But the only
But
other
it doesn't
one,
change how awesome the action is.
of
Doesn't
course
change
not.
that.
No, I would say. I mean, like I watched. I've only been able to watch two of these movies, and as I said, I've seen Heroes of the East, and then I saw Crippled Avengers. And Crippled Avengers is really cool too. It's like basically this guy, this like warlord type of dude, son gets his hands cut off at the beginning of the movie, and from there he becomes like an evil villain, and he gives his son like iron hands and teaches him all these martial arts. So he's like, then he becomes like an evil warlord, and throughout the beginning of the movie, he makes enemies where he like, hurts random people that end up being, great martial arts, of course. And, one guy, he like cuts off his legs, and then he ends up getting iron legs. And then one guy he blinds, and then another guy he like makes deaf and then takes away his voice. And so these three guys then get like, like this one, then this other really great martial artist comes along and tries to defend them, and then he gets his mind, like basically they turn him into like, you could say kind of like mentally handicapped person, which is the only kind of like iffy thing about the movie is they kind of deal with that. Like they torture this guy to a point, like they like crush his head, and then he basically becomes kind of like mentally handicapped through the rest of the
Kind
movie.
of like almost like a punch drunk boxer.
Yes,
something like
kind
that.
of like that. Yeah, he was very serious before, and then now after they like tortured him with this device where they like crush his head in, he like then becomes like very like loosey goosey and funny, and like, but he still knows his kung fu. So
Nice.
So then that guy's master they go back to, and that master helps them all like cope with their disabilities, and still be able to go back and seek their revenge, and it's really fun. It's a really fun team up movie, kung fu movie. It's great, and with all these movies, great choreography, the fight choreography, and like
and the editing is also really
editing, the
really
weapons
good, too.
fighting is amazing. And I'm excited to watch all these movies. I kind of want to keep seeking out these movies, but I kind of want to wait for this set to get like the best presentation. So
Yeah, I actually wanted to look this up right away. I want to say because Jackie Chan was acting around this time.
Yeah.
And we just brought up 88 Films, and they're putting out all the Jackie Chan stuff. Yeah, Jackie Chan was in Shaw Brothers movies as well.
Oh yeah.
So talk about Chinese cinema. I think he's a megastar still to this day.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would say of bringing Chinese cinema, I think, to the world. When of course he came over here to the U.S., made all those movies that he did as well. Still making movies actually.
Yeah.
Still acting. He's an Oscar winner, honorary Oscar winner, but well deserved. Well deserved. Everyone should see Police Story 1 and 2 if you're gonna watch some Jackie Chan, early Jackie Chan stuff. Those are the ones I've seen. I gotta see some of those 88 films releases. Some of those films as well. They're interesting films.
Yeah.
They're more comedic based. Would you say that,
Yeah,
Steven?
yeah, I would say. I mean, there are a couple ones that are a little bit more serious than others, but yeah, that he brought that comedy with action thing over to America with Rush Hour. He really was able to translate that well.
Yeah, there are also prominent filmmakers who were also in the from the Shaw Brothers. King Hu, who I mentioned, La Carlong, Chang Chi,
Yeah.
who did I think one of the films that I think he did King Boxer.
Okay.
May have done King Boxer. Which yeah, and so they were the launching point for a lot of really, really great things in Chinese cinema. Yeah, so no, he did the boxer from Shantung. That's what Shang
Okay.
Chi did. I'm just looking it up now, so I'm not getting that wrong. So so I guess we want to move on now to
Well, yeah. I mean, we're done with our
our finale.
our
Our
release.
finale after the finale.
Yeah, our release.
epilogue.
Our release slate is over.
Yes.
So now we're gonna get it. Every once in a while we'd like to do like a little extra kind of things that have to delve into our catalogs or which to tease once again, we are doing a David Cronenberg episode, talking David Cronenberg physical media at the end of this month. And then also next episode, we have a special guest on for who's an artist, Scott Saslow, who's done a lot of artwork for different companies, Arrow and other ones, who's going to be coming on to be our guest next week. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, but in this episode, since we got the Barnes & Noble sale going on for Criterion, we figured we would talk about maybe some of our favorite stuff and maybe throw some suggestions of maybe lesser talked about releases from Criterion that maybe don't get the love that they deserve, that you need to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I would frame this. Basically, my mindset going into this kind of recommendations is, hey, if you've already, bought all the films or titles that people have said to buy, all the big name people, you know what I mean? All the essentials, essentially. All of the 8.5s and the Fellini and the Godard and the
Kurosawa
Kurosawas
stuff
and everybody, right? And you're looking and you're like, man, what else can I possibly get? I got money to burn.
Wow. Yeah.
I got to do it. So that's the way I went into my list. I don't know if Steven went in as animated as I did, but you never know. So I guess we'll start off. Basically, these are in no particular order. This isn't a ranking or anything. So I'm going to start off with an indie movie, an American indie movie by David Gordon Green, and the movie is George Washington. And this has been in the Criterion Collection for a while. The spy number's in like the hundreds, so it's been around for a while. But I first came to it on Blu-ray when it got re-released years ago, and people kind of know David Gordon Green, well, probably most prominently now because he's doing the Halloween films that are coming out these days. We're getting a new one in October, and David Gordon Green has been kind of shifted from making indies to making like stoner comedies with like with like James Franco and what's I can't remember his name now.
You talk about Pineapple Express?
Yeah,
James Franco and Seth Rogen?
No, well, he also did the TV show Eastbound and Down with, what's his name? The actor.
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. Yeah, Danny McBride started off doing indie films with David Gordon Green and then kind of went into kind of the comedic realm of where he is now.
Which, funny enough, I think Danny McBride writes on the new Halloween movies too. Right?
Yeah, I think they co-wrote the screenplays for these movies.
Yeah.
He may be even a producer or executive producer on them. I'm not quite sure, but of all the people, this is what we're getting. And they've done and he's also gone in and out of his indie roots. Like he did the movie Joe with, come on, Steven, your favorite. Nicolas Cage, a good Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh, it's great.
2013, yeah. Let's go. Come on. He does a good one once every blue moon. He also did the movie Prince Avalanche and all this kind of stuff. So he's gone in and out of the realm. George Washington was his first feature-length film right before he did the film All the Real Girls, which needs a Blu-ray release. Come on. Somebody do that out there. That movie stars Zooey Deschanel, one of my all-time favorites. And so George Washington is like a coming-of-age movie done in a very independent, almost avant-garde type way. It centers around a group of children in like a small town, North Carolina. Actually, there's a Stephen connection again, and they band together to cover up like a tragedy that they're going through. But it's just a really interesting coming of age film, really well acted by good young actors. and it's a really great film. And the release itself is also really good too. You get some inside information about the making of the film and audio commentaries, and the film looks really good for the era it was made in. It was made in that 90s independent realm. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Oh
that
yeah,
grit that was in there, you know?
yeah.
I
Well, I
really
mean,
dig
I
this
mean
film.
lot of video, like video, like because
Yeah, it's
that
it's
video
like that
look.
film grain, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's some people would compare the '90s era of independent cinema kind of similar to the '70s. In the sense,
Yeah.
maybe not necessarily in the sense of its thematic stuff, but like it's the kind of the feel, the rawness
Yes. I
that
mean, we
was.
did we did an episode on that 70s yeah, I would call it American New Wave, or it was like,
We
or
also did
something
that.
like
We
that.
did also did an episode in the '90s.
We also did an episode of the 90s stuff.
Yeah,
And we talked about a lot of like the Soderberghs and Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez,
yeah,
Kevin Smith, all these people making movies in the US at the time. This is towards that tail end, that kind of that tail end of
yeah,
that era, because this movie came out in 2000. So it's in that era. I really dig it.
yeah. It's a good movie.
I
I like
really
it.
dig it. Do you want to go? Do you want to go
We
like
go
one
back
me,
and
one
forth.
you?
Yeah, we'll go back and
Okay.
forth. I figure I'll go ahead and get this out of the way because we if anybody listens to me and anything I do, I like to talk about Satyajit Ray or Satyajit Ray.
Never heard you talk about him
I
before.
never talk about him at all.
Never once.
But this is my chance, and I think maybe out of all my choices, this might be the one that maybe people were most aware of. But I figure I'll just bring it up because it's one of my favorites of his, and that's The Big City. It came out in 1963, and this is about like a kind of a lower class family that is having a hard time making ends meet. So of course in that culture, the women are kind of supposed to stay at home. They're not supposed to take care of the family, and the man's supposed to go to work and provide. But in this particular time in India, Calcutta, they like a lot of women were starting to go to work, and in this case, our main character she decides she's going to help out and go to work, and she goes to work for like this kind of like sales, like a sales position where you like sell like feminine products and things like that, going door to door, and she's really good at it. She gets really good at it, but then there's of course this kind of causes a problem between the husband and also the husband's family, their parents who live with them that are having a hard time just getting by themselves. It's a movie about not only that struggle of the female getting into the workplace, but also like inner family, like identity and things like that. So it's a really great film. Satyajit Ray shoots the hell out of it, of course, and it's just his movies always just ooze emotion and genuine, a genuineness that I love, and it's I can't. You just need to watch the movie. You've seen the movie, right?
Yeah, we also did a spotlight on it back in our Cinema Discovery Project days.
Yes.
Where we talk about the entire movie. That was one. Yeah, that was a big one for us.
It's called The Big City, so of course.
Yeah. what a connection.
Yeah.
Next for me is a movie called Certified Copy, and I think it may be one people are familiar with now at this point.
Is that Kiarostami?
Yeah, that is Abbas Kiarostami,
Yeah.
the great, in my opinion, the great Iranian filmmaker who has passed away a few years ago. When I saw he passed away, I thought it was just devastating.
Yeah.
Just a huge, huge loss. Abbas Kiarostami, he's done films that are in the Criterion Collection, like Close Up, Taste of Cherry, Like Someone in Love, and Certified Copy as well. And Certified Copy stars one of my favorites in Juliette Binoche, who I think is an extraordinary actress. And this film is so interesting, so fascinating, so unique. Basically, these two people, played by Juliette Binoche and William Schimmel, and they go out on a date. It's like a first date type thing. They're older. They're adults. They're older adults.
Yeah.
They're going out on a date, and what happens through just the natural progression of their time together is the date turns from a first date to like to like an existential, surreal commentary on like love and relationships and romance and things like that. And in real time, it just shifts. Like they go from like people who are like on a first date to like as if they were married. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or as if they're having a married and long relationship, and you're just along for this ride. And I've never seen a film attempt to do that. You know what I mean? Just an attempt to do that is incredible. And what it's saying about all of those things is really rich, really, deeply layered and really fantastic. And just the acting, the direction, the dialogue, all of that's really, really fantastic. And this was an early one that I had bought from the sale many, many years ago. And it's a film I haven't seen in a few years. It's pretty light when it comes to features and stuff like that, but I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend all of his films enough. I think he was an absolutely amazing filmmaker in every way. And Certified Copy came out in 2010, so it's a film that's not as old. It's a film that came out for about a decade ago. But I think by this point, many people who are collecting Criterions probably already have it. They probably already know about it. So maybe it was kind of like, your
Kind of like My
one
Big
with the
City.
big city. Yeah. I mean, maybe the other ones people are already into as now. Had we had done this like years ago, our list would probably be super different.
Yeah.
Not just because movies, new movies have come out, but just because people right now, Criterion I don't think has ever been more popular. Every
Yeah.
year this company's getting more and more popular, and this sale, I'm gonna just slide this in right here. This sale now is like the wild wild west.
Yeah.
You got to be out there. You got to be out there like just on your own, really grabbing anything you can, because hot titles keep selling out. Stores are not having as much as they used to have. It's really kind of crazy the way this has morphed over the last decade or so. But Steven, what's your title? Before I get off.
Well, I was gonna say,
someplace
well, no,
else.
no, it's you're passionate, man. I get it. You're having struggles out there. You're fighting off people. I get it.
Oh, I've gotten to sales where I'll get there and I'll see somebody browsing and I'll just start grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
Just start grabbing stuff.
Yeah, I got lucky today. I was telling him before the show, I got lucky today and showed up to my Barnes and Nobles for not even looking for Criterions, because I'd already done that the day before, and I was like, look, I can't, I gotta calm down. I can't spend any more money. And then so I'm checking out. I'm there for something for my wife, and I start talking to the lady there I know that talks to me about Criterions, and she's like, what have you been looking for? I'm like, well, I've been looking for. My main thing was to get the Wong Kar-wai set. We got some in. I was like, I was here yesterday. You didn't have. Got some in. I looked at my wife. I was like, and she's like, go ahead and get it. And I'm like, God,
Nice.
I love you so much.
Nice. Yeah,
So, I got
hot.
one.
That's a hot set right now.
Yeah.
That's gotta
But,
be that's one of the hotter ones of the sale this year.
Yeah, but and also you were saying about like features being low. I think that's going to be kind of a running theme of our suggestions here, because the lesser known movies I think tend to have lesser features. The ones that don't get bought up as much, or because they're not as well known, and so with them not being as well known, they didn't have a lot of features to make for them. Like they didn't have a lot of archival stuff. They didn't have a lot of people that have maybe even seen the movie to have be able to make appreciations for them. So, but yeah, moving forward, the next one I'm going to bring up is from I would say a pretty well known director of the collection, but I don't know that this is one I hear a lot of people say that they bought or are excited. Like I said, it's relative. Everybody's got their perspective, but from what I can tell, this isn't a title I hear a lot of people bring up, and that's and you got to help me, Andrew. Au revoir.
Oh yeah, au revoir les enfants.
Yes.
Basically, goodbye children.
Yes, and this is from director Louis Malle, and he's got quite a few, I think, films in the collection. And this is, I would say, maybe one of his greatest movies. And this takes place during the Nazi-occupied France, and it's centered around a boarding school. And it's kind of just, I think some of this is from Louis Malle's experience as a child, his own personal experiences. and there's like, a kid that's noticed that one of the other kids is Jewish, and they're kind of like the priests at the school are hiding him there. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that, kind of suspense of that, and also just a lot of coming of age stuff in the movie, and just very harrowing and very, it's a very tragic movie, but also kind of tragically beautiful too. A lot of heartbreaking stuff, but a lot of sweet stuff in there too. So it's a fantastic movie. Have you seen this one?
I have. Yeah, it's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
This is Louis Mallin's got a lot of films in the collection. This may be, this is right up there with one of his best, I think.
Yeah.
He's got an Eclipse set. He's got all kinds of stuff. He's even has stuff that hasn't even been released on Blu-ray yet, like Murmur of the Heart and stuff like that. But yeah, this movie is really heartbreakingly tragic, real. Like Steven said, it's about, during World War II, this boarding school tries to, hide some Jewish kids from the Nazis, basically. And they also, but what I also found interesting is they not only hide them, but they try to like shelter the kids from what's going on in the world as well. Did you get that vibe?
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting extra layer to that. It's not only the literal hiding, but also the, emotional hiding as well.
Yeah.
Really well layered film. It does. Yeah, this does have a Blu-ray release with a couple. Yeah, with quite a few features. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
really nice.
Medium amount of not too bad. But
I still gotta get this actually.
Okay. Awesome. Well, what's your next one?
So my next one is a movie called Il Sorpasso. This is an Italian film by a director called Dino Risi. This is his only film in the collection. This came out a few years ago during that era where they were releasing Blu-ray and DVD combo packs. And this film, I know, has been mentioned by Martin Scorsese a few times.
Yeah.
This is an Italian road movie between two people who are the opposites of one another. Think of like all the ones that people know of. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Stuff like that, basically. I keep saying that over and over again. And they travel from Rome to Tuscany, and one's an eccentric guy, one's a more straight-laced guy, and they're going along, and you just follow them on this journey, and it's both comedic, tragic, and dramatic. You learn a lot about the characters and their backgrounds through their conversations with one another. It's a really fantastic movie, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it enough, maybe because this person only has one movie in the collection. This does come with an introduction by Alexander Payne, which I thought was really good. And it also has new 2K restoration. It's a really good release from them, and I just really wish people would talk about it more.
Okay.
That was me sneezing.
Awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, it's one of those, when the packaging came, it was like 2 DVDs and I think a Blu-ray, so it has like a thicker packaging. That's what I loved about those combo packs. The thicker packaging always felt like I was getting my money's worth.
Oh yeah.
It felt heavier. Felt good. Felt really good. That's what
All
I love.
right.
I love that new Criterion feel.
Yes, of course.
So that is Il Sorpasso. Not much else to say about it because I really want people to discover it on their own.
Awesome. Yeah, not one I've seen, but I'll definitely take that suggestion. Definitely. All right. So the next one I got is I think it's one I've brought up in the past on some episodes somewhere, but I find this to be a very beautifully bleak movie from a Soviet director, and I'll probably butcher this, Sekel Katoksvik. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Hey, you tried.
I tried.
You tried.
But he's also got this director's had another release recently. The Cranes Are Flying was another one of his films that got released. But this film that I'm going to talk about is Letter Never Sent, which is a kind of you could say it's it's a survival film, kind of a disaster movie where these people are wandering out into the forests and the wilderness in Siberia, and then a forest fire happens and they're kind of caught up in it. And it's a really haunting movie. And just the imagery alone catching, the fire and these people just caught up in it is kind of exciting and scary, and I really like this movie. It's once again not much context with special features, and really literally have nothing except for like a booklet that's got some essays. But other than that, just restoration and subtitles. So, but it's really a cool movie. And I need to check out the cranes are flying just to see what else this director's done. But have you seen this movie?
I have not seen this movie, and I really want to see it because I know you mentioned that you bought this.
Yeah, this was actually pretty early. Yeah, pretty early for me buying this one. Yeah,
I think it was at a flash sale. You may have bought this because this is one of the cheaper releases from Criterion Collection, where if they don't have a lot of features, usually it'll be like $10 cheaper, and then of course during the sale, it's like a $15 Blu-ray. So you might as well take a flyer on it. I know they did it with like one other Bergman film, and then I think some other film as well, but I can't remember. But yeah, the cover of this has always grabbed me. It's a really beautiful cover for Letter Never Sent.
Yeah, it's like silhouetted people with fire, kind of.
Yeah, it's like smoke. Fire in the front and smoke and shadow. Really, really haunting.
Yeah, it really is, and I think it's just one I just don't hear people talk about. I'm surprised, and if you think about it, there's just not a lot of like environmental, survival type of movies in the collection that I can think of. I mean, there's maybe a little bit more to it than that. It's been a while since I watched it, but it's mostly a survival movie, and it grabbed me. So
yeah, when does it take place? Is it like World War II? It looks like there was a war happening.
Well, the movie came out in 1959. So I'm not sure if it came out in that time, if the movie's taking place in that time period, but it's away from the rest of the world. The whole movie's set in a forest, so I don't know that it plays much into the film's themes. But it's a short watch. It's 96 minutes. So yeah.
Well, nice.
Letter Never Sent.
Nice. My next one is a movie that I've been championing for years, and that is The Earrings of Madame D. And The Earrings of Madame D is a film by Max Ophuls. And Max Ophuls is a director I don't think a lot of people know about, and which is unfortunate because I think he's had a lot of influence on a lot of different directors, particularly Paul Thomas Anderson. And what drew me to this release is that there is, I think, an introduction by Paul Thomas Anderson. It was one of those where I was just like looking for something to buy, looking for a blind buy at the time, and I saw an introduction by Paul Thomas Anderson, and I was like, I gotta get it. if he's promoting this movie, if he likes this movie, I gotta see what his influences are. And when you watch the movie and you see the cinematography in it, you're like, that's where PTA got a lot of his cinematography from. Specifically, the one-take long shots that PTA has been relatively known for throughout his career. He took that from Max Ophuls, who was doing this back in the 50s, which is, of course, a lot more difficult back then with that type of technology. But this movie, The Earrings of Madame D, is one of his films, and he's had a couple of films in the collection get releases. Not only this film, but Lola Montez, La Plaisir, and La Ronde. La Plaisir and La Ronde, I don't think have gotten Blu-ray releases. They've only have DVD releases right now, but Lola Montez does, and Lola Montez is a beautiful film. Aesthetically beautiful film. But back to Madame D. Madame D is about this kind of wealthy aristocratic woman who has some debts to pay off, and in doing so, she sells a pair of earrings that were given to her by her husband, who I think is like an ex-husband now or something like that, and to pay off this financial debt. And what happens is this sets off kind of a chain reaction of events that transpire throughout her life, that are both, they're both romantic and tragic and dramatic. Vittorio De Sica, the great Vittorio De Sica, the Italian director, is in this movie. I think is one of her love interests. It's been a few years since I've seen this movie, but he not only was a director, but he was also an actor as well. So he showed up in this movie as a love interest, and I thought that was really interesting because, of course, he did Bicycle Thieves and Umberto D, and those are the main staples that people should be buying from the Criterion Collection. But this is a really great film. I've actually given this film as like birthday or Christmas presents to people because I'm like, there's no way they're gonna buy this. You got to see it. Here you go. I've done that before where I love movies so much that I want people to watch them that I'll just buy them and give them to people.
Yeah.
And they of course maybe probably don't end up watching them still, but. I guess that was the maximum effort I could do to get people to watch it.
Dude, you're going further than most people would.
Yeah.
To me, I just give away stuff that I'm rebuying. I mean, like, it's in a sense, I guess I'm doing the same thing, but I'm doing it more because I have a bad habit. So I'm like, well, I guess I can just give this as a present to somebody. So like, I'm half-assing. Yeah. I'm not like. I'm just saying you're better than me.
Okay.
You're nicer than I am.
That's the roundabout way of saying that.
Yeah, you're nicer than I am because you're actually buying something for somebody. Me, I'm just like, well, here's my second, my seconds, whatever you call it,
or like double.
My backwash. Here's my backwash. I already drank from that. You can have that, and I'll take the next new one.
Oh man. I mean, it happens. I've got so many copies of certain movies, and it's like. What do I do with all of them? But I have bought movies to give to people of films that I really love a lot.
Yeah.
And Madam D was one of them because I was just like, this movie's amazing. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this movie. It does have quite a few special features and plus a booklet. It also comes in. I don't know if they're still doing it, but it came in one of the. It must have been an early release because the early Blu-ray releases like they came with like digipacks in slipcovers. But this one was, I think, more of a slip box, if I remember. It's on my shelf somewhere. I gotta look at it. But it was kind of like a slip box release before they were really doing any type of slip box types of releases like now we're getting with a lot of, the thicker package. Like I just bought The Irishman. Yeah. That was a thicker package than I thought it was because of the booklet and because I think it's 2 discs as well, now that I think about it. But I know the Mirror, Tarkovsky's Mirror, is a thicker one because of the booklet as well. So this was they were doing that earlier on. When it comes to packaging. Yeah. So that is The Earrings of Madame D by Max Ophuls. Keep that name in mind because he's a really great director.
Cool. Awesome. The next one I'm going to bring up is from some Belgian directors.
Yes.
Brothers Luc and Jean-Pierre Domine. They've had some other films in the collection. La Promesse. That's close as I can get. And then you brought up Marion Cotillard earlier, 2 Days and One Night.
Ooh.
They directed them 2 films, and the film I'm going to bring up is a movie they did called Rosetta. I love, when it comes to, just film in general, I love like personal, like small scope stories about people's struggles. Of course, that just makes me feel better about myself, because we all struggle through something, and we all live in our own worlds, and just to be able to relate to somebody else, kind of like in similar situations, is not that I have this situation in general, but like, just seeing normal people going through things, is great, and it helps us get through our day. And this film, Rosetta, is just merely about a young woman who's trying to hold on to her job to take care of herself and her alcoholic mother. And it's just a really raw look at that. And the camera work by the directors is amazing in this movie. It's very, very just in your kind of almost, I would say, Scorsese-esque, like very just like all up in there. Doesn't shy away from anything. And it was very well received when it came out in 1999. I think it won the directors the Palme d'Or. And the actress that plays Rosetta won Best Actress also. Her name's Emily DeQueen. So yeah, it's a really great small scale kind of personal struggle story. If you're in, once again, I guess with your comparing to your suggestions, George Washington, a very small scale, raw look at reality. And that's kind of what this movie is. So, yeah, Rosetta.
Yeah, it came out in 1999 in that same
area.
That same era, like we were just talking about. I have not seen this movie, but I have seen their other film, the one with Marion Cotillard, 2 Days, One Night. Yeah. Very similar. When you were reading the description, I was like, that sounds very similar. Basically, Marion Cotillard is a single mother who's trying to hold down her job, and uh, and basically what happens is the is her coworkers decide to vote for her to get laid off so that they can collect bonuses. And
Wow.
she's trying to, and in 2 days and one night, she's going around to each of them to get them to like change their vote so that she doesn't lose her job because she's got
Yeah.
like a child to take care of. Oh yeah, she's a wife. Yeah, she's not a single mother. She's a wife and a mother, but she's suffering from like depression. She needs, financial stability. We all need
Oh yeah.
financial stability in some way, shape, or form. But it's her going around and doing that. It's a really harrowing film. I was surprised when that actually was released because I saw it right before it got a Criterion release. And sometimes Criterion does it. They do that a lot more now with
Yeah.
modern day films because that movie came out in 2014.
Yeah.
So that was a little while ago. But Rosetta, I remember seeing that movie constantly at my Barnes and Noble during the sales, and I never kind of thought about it until
Yeah.
now. I've also heard of La Promesse, as well as The Kid with the Bike is another one of
Okay.
their films.
Okay.
I've seen all these movies floating around for years and never really heard anyone talk about them.
Yeah, I
until
mean
you
it's
just did.
yeah, I mean it seems like these directors like to focus on the working class people, because even La Promise is about undocumented workers, just getting into that realm, and so yeah, I mean these are maybe directors. I mean I haven't watched their other films, but just kind of revisiting Rosetta is making me think I need to look at more of their movies in the collection. So, awesome. That's
Nice.
that's it for my
Nice.
Rosetta.
So for my final film is actually one that I talked about briefly last week when I brought up the director Tony Richardson, and this is his film A Taste of Honey, which is a a brilliant film. It's a film that I had to watch for the first time in college because I think I've told this like a bajillion times. My when I took a couple of classes in college, the film classes, the professor was from England, so when we were talking about English cinema, he just went full tilt. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it was like his area of expertise. And what happened is it was the first time I was introduced to a lot of British cinema, and one of the films had to be A Taste of Honey. And when this got a Criterion release, I was like, "Wow! I can't believe a movie I saw a decade ago is finally getting a Criterion release." And this was a relatively new release because this was Spy Number 829, so this was a couple of
yeah,
years back. And luckily enough that it had a newer release, it got a lot of new special features,
yeah,
specifically with an interview with the actress Rita Tushington, who was the main character in this film. This is a very small, very very isolated film because this film was part of what I just talked about of the British New Wave. The British New Wave was a kind of it was kind of in the vein of the Nouvelle Vague, the French New Wave that happened around the same time, but it was happening in
yeah.
Britain. Everybody seemed to get a new wave of cinema.
Of
Everybody got one.
course.
You get one. You get one. It's like Oprah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is the British New Wave brought everything down to basic, working class level, or even like lower than working class, like the poor class, the impoverished class, or young people, and what they're dealing with in their day to day lives. I think this was also called like kitchen sink realism because it happened on such that level, and you get a
Yeah,
lot of people like Tony Richardson, John Schlesinger, uh, Lindsay Anderson, a lot of those names. Ken Loach, I think, was one of those. Maybe John Sayles, or maybe that was a little after. But I know Mike Lee was way after as well. But Mike Lee's films are in that vein of the
yeah,
British New Wave, and that's what really got me into Mike Lee as well. So a taste of honey. I won't say taste of cherry every time
yeah, yeah,
because of the Abbas Kiarostami film, but this takes place around a young girl portrayed by Rita Tushington, and she has a kind of a rough life. Her mother is like derelict, doesn't take care of her. I think she's got some type of, I don't know if it's a drug problem or something like that. She just doesn't care for her at all. So she has to like go out on her own as a teenager, basically, and live her life, and find a way to live her life she gets in relationships that don't go well. She gets pregnant at one point, so she has to deal with that set of circumstances as well. And I think the film is really trying to say that there's really not a societal safety net, if you will, for people for young people like this, or people in general dealing with complicated situations. And that's a problem that exists all the way to today. So this movie is incredibly contemporary. And this is a movie that came out in 1961 of all time. So it's a really great film. I highly recommend this release. I know we talked a little bit about Tony Richardson early on. He's a celebrated director. He directed Tom Jones, which is I think it won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Okay.
I said that last week. And yeah, it's a really great film. I can't recommend it enough. I wrote a paper on it once upon a time. I don't even know where it is. It's in my computer. I tried to edit it and repost it on my blog at one point. I don't think I ever get around to it. Because have you ever gone back and looked at your previous work of anything? Whether it's writing or music, in your case, or anything like that, and you're like, man, I was really bad. What was I doing?
I still do it, man. I still do. I'm looking at recent stuff like, God, I still suck.
Yeah, I do it with my YouTube stuff, and it's like, man, that lighting's terrible. I even did it with the most recent stuff I did. I'm like, this is terrible. This is awful. What am I doing? What a waste of time. So yeah, that's A Taste of Honey.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely, I haven't seen that one. I've definitely heard of it, but I need to check that one out as well. And I guess our final one that I'm going to bring up here is one that actually got a Blu-ray re-release not too long ago. I think it was about August last year. So it might have gotten jumbled up in the whole, pandemic thing. So maybe people didn't see this re-release. But this is, I think, an early Spine number, if I'm not mistaken, 177. So early days.
Is early.
And it's a film called The Lost Honor of Katharina Bloom. And this is from, if I'm not mistaken, German directors. Volker
Schlondorf.
Yeah. He also did like the Tin Drum, and he did another one.
He has a Criterion Closet video as well. A few years ago.
It also says it's co-directed by Margaret von Trotta. But this film, The Lost Honor of Katharina Bloom, is I would say is a very contemporary film too. I mean, it's from 1975, but it's very much still relevant today, where it's about how media can be used as a weapon and can ruin your life. I mean, you have Katharina, who's this is like post-war Germany, and so she plays this woman who is suspected of being involved with a terrorist. She spends a night with this man who apparently is being suspected of being a terrorist. So then they say that she's involved with him in that way, and of course she didn't know anything about that. And then they smear her and just kind of start to try to destroy her whole life. The police try to destroy her life, and it's a very just hard to watch, in a sense, a hard to watch movie. Just watching somebody's reputation and just get thrown out the window. It happens to people all the time, and on this scale, it's just even harder to watch. So, have you seen this film?
I've not seen this movie, but I kind of want to. I have The Tin Drum, which is a really good film by Volker Schlondorf. I really want to get the rest of his stuff because he's got a few other things. He has Young Torless?
Yeah.
And he has that movie Ball, which has a rad cover, pretty rad cover. I hear that movie's bananas. And he seemed to do a lot of work in the 70s. I think it was primarily his area when he was working. But I think he was working, obviously decades afterwards as well. But when it comes to the release, they seem to be those from the 70s. I really want to see this. I don't even remember this coming out. Or maybe I do. And it's one of those areas where it's right after the sale. And so I don't
You're not looking to buy. You're not looking to buy the next.
Yeah.
Well, it could. I don't know what else got announced with this release, but maybe there was like a really big release of something else
I almost want to, you know what, while you talk, I want to look it up because I'm curious what got released around the same time. It's because the movie sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's once again, the Criterion knows how to pick the movies that still ring true today. They pick, and of course, this director seems to have great work and hopefully continues to get more of his stuff in the collection.
Yes, so it did come out last August, like you said, and it came out, it was one of those months that got overshadowed because that was the Agnes Varda box set month.
There you go.
that overshadowed all these. It also came out the same time as Town Bloody Hall, and the movie Tony.
Yeah.
Which I think is the Jean Renoir film. I think that's a Jean Renoir film.
I'm not sure.
I gotta see because I can't sleep at night unless I know. Yeah, it is the Jean Renoir film, and then I also had the movie called Comfort of Strangers.
Okay.
And then of course the Agnes Varda set, which I thought came out that September, but I guess it was an August release.
Well, yeah, the Varda set just took everybody's eyes, so that was probably why this maybe for some, even for me, was kind of overshadowed at first, but it's a worthwhile pickup.
I think because that was when they announced it. Yeah, that took everybody's breath away. Took my money, took everything from me.
Yep.
I do love that set.
But that's it. That's our suggestions. So maybe maybe we convinced you to pick up one of these movies. Probably maybe these are not movies that are going to be hard to find because maybe people aren't looking for them because they're looking for the memories of murder and they're looking for human condition. I just got that today. So yeah, I mean these might be easy ones to pick up, and we would say they're worthwhile. So let us know if you have seen any of these and if you agree with us, or please send us some of your suggestions. Go to our Facebook group, join our Facebook group, talk about some of your suggestions of some Criterions you should pick up at the sale. But yeah, that's it for our episode 12. Where can we find you, Andrew?
You can find me on Twitter at Cabzilla06, as well as my YouTube channel, Cabzilla Productions.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can find me with the others. I run all the Chasing Label stuff, so you can find me all on Instagram at Chasing Labels. You can find me on Letterboxd at Chasing Labels. You can find the audio for this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all the major players. That's it for this episode. Thanks again for listening, and hey, keep on buying them movies.
I know I will.